My name is Michael, middle name is Delancey Perkins, and I'm a steel drum builder by trade. The path to steel drums, it would not have been a story that you could say it started here and it ended there, because it does take some unusual jumps to get me where I am now. But I was born in 1949 in Garrison, West Virginia, which is a very, very rural place. It's typically all of the cliches of Appalachia that you see, hillbillies and all that kind of stuff. But I was born there, and the reason that I was born there is because my father was a coal miner, and blacks from the South would seek out the coal mines for work. He would be covered in soot, and you probably could see a little bit of his eyes there, and he had on his head this thing that was called it was a lantern. So he would have this thing on and covered in soot, and you could see his eyes and some of his lips. And I mean, I just loved seeing him come home, because I know he had worked hard, and I know he had worked for us, But so he was a very hard-working person, and that's kind of where I get my work ethic from. I've had students go to sleep under this. It's kind of hypnotic, striking. So what I'm doing is forming this very shallow disc with the center always being the lowest point. But in some ways, I think the innocence of the poverty as a child was innocence of happiness. I didn't feel any pain in the things I did. I can remember just being so extremely happy as a child. And I remember going to school one day, and they're coming to get me because my grandmother's house burned down. And that was an early memory. And I was worried about my family. They were all safe, and I was worried about one of my sisters who was a baby at the time. And I remember that because her crib was a carnation cardboard box. She slept in a carnation milk cardboard box, and I can remember that. That was her bed, her little crib, and I was worried about her too. I said, well, I hope the baby is out. But everybody was safe, and we were put at different relatives' house until we came up with another location. And at that point in time, I think we moved to Charleston. We moved out of the strictly rural places. So we came from the rural Garrison, West Virginia, and we came to this place, and we turned on the lights on, getting ready to go in, and roaches went everywhere. It was just like, God, here's where we're gonna live. I mean, we had to accept it, but we lived a lot of poor life in that house before things kind of improved eventually. But we were in these cycles of improvement and falling and improvement and falling. Okay, so now I'm going to begin to lay the drum out. And the first thing in that process is to find the center of the drum. These will be the outside boundaries of the notes that are around the rim. This is pretty archaic, but it gets the job done for me. It's a flexible ruler. Allows me to form all those arcs relatively correctly. And those will go in the center in places where they don't interfere with the tuning of other notes and have enough spacing around them that the other individual notes will be able to sing on their own. So it just needs amount of spacing that's correct. We were still in poverty. We were holding on. I mean, we could managed to have food, but not all the time. I mean, there was times when we didn't really have food. I mean, this is really true. I can remember that we took a trip, a junior high trip to out of state, and I didn't have any money to go. My mom couldn't give, I think she gave me $3, you know? And so in that environment where other kids, we were all in this giant hotel and they had money to go and buy food and all that stuff, and I didn't. I had to tell people, no, I'm not, you guys go on, you know, I'm okay right now, because I was poor, I couldn't do those things, you know. And that made me, that upset me a lot, and it kind of made me bitter. So I just started hanging out with the wrong people and acquiring some of those kind of things. I was shoplifting stuff. I got involved with shoplifting, and I could sell what I shoplifted for money to people, you know, things like that. Got involved with running with the wrong kind of people, running with some adults, drinking alcohol. I just spiraled down, you know, and all the good parts of me kind of got covered up for a while, and I just run the streets a lot, and I found myself in the worst time of my life on Easter morning, getting arrested for robbing a man. When I was sober enough to kind of know what's going on, I just know that I'm in big trouble. And it led to me being sentenced to 30 years in prison as an 18-year-old person in Charleston, West Virginia. And at that point is where the finishing hammers come in, and this will refine the surface. You'll see the surface become more smooth. And the subtle things that will be happening is that these areas of the note edges will be pressed backwards. The Michael Perkins that was arrested, he kind of vanished once I came to understand I'm in prison for 30 years. Another Michael Perkins had to come forward, and it's pretty much the one you see now in front of you. It's a different person. I don't really know the person I was at that time. I don't associate with that. I just own up to me being that person. So this is the drum and the state before getting ready to make the groove lines permanent on the drum and outline these notes with a punch. This is an operation that is one of the more difficult things to learn initially, but it becomes second nature after a while. But it's something that you should do the best you can. I just had to accept my fate, and I was crushed. You know, you can't comprehend what your life is going to be when you're facing a sentence of 30 years. All I could think about was, how can I escape out of this place? That's all I could think about, and it was not something you could do, but that's what your mind wants to do. Your mind wants to be outside again, because you know it's not your decision anymore. So I just remember the whole time, I'm hoping the thing turns over, I'm hoping a window opens, I'm hoping something happens, and you know, it wasn't going to happen, but my mind was just running a film, you know, just running a film about what I'm not going to be able to do, what loss of freedom truly is like, and it is devastating when you know you don't have it anymore. You have no control, you have no decision that you make. It was terrifying.